All right, welcome to Scrapbook Live. I'm Megan Jax. Thanks so much for joining me. Today is June 7th. Just zipping our way right through June. And so today's layout, I have a single page layout. It is from the Creative Memories blog from March 9th of 2020. I don't know about you guys. I always look at those dates like March 9th. That's like kind of like we knew about COVID, but it was before everything in Washington State shut down. That was March 13th. I always look at those days and it's kind of like, oh, it's a pre-COVID layout, right? But March 9th, 2020, they used the Spring Medley collection and showing off the Border Maker cartridge that was new with that collection, which was the Spring Leaf Border Maker cartridge, not to be confused with the Spring Leaf Single Punch. So, but I'm not using any of those things in this layout. I am going to be sticking fairly close to the layout, with just changes for my papers. With the Border Maker cartridge, I am using. As we go through those, I'll talk about those changes, and it's really just customizing it for my particular photos and I'd say theme. It's just pictures of Cody riding his bicycle. So, just kind of sweet little photos. They're actually terrible photos. I was trying to photograph him while I'm riding a bicycle. The sun was going down, so the light was dwindling fast and we're moving. So you can imagine the photos, we'll say they're artistic is a nice way to put that. They're out of focus, but hopefully they'll still look here good. So let me go ahead. I'm going to switch down to my overhead camera and we'll show you what we've got going. All right, so here are my photos. From a distance they look fine, but you can see he's just riding his bicycle, has on one of my favorite little shirts that he had, which is actually kind of, when I looked at these photos, and he's got, we've got the bright greenery in the background. We've got some sunshine coming in there. It was towards the end of the day. He was showing off that he could ride his bike without his hands. But he's got this shirt on that has that aqua teal color in it. So I was trying to think of like, well, what do I have that would work with this? And just came to mind the Emerald Gemstone collection. So I went based on colors rather than trying to find something that maybe fit this is kind of a specific theme with the outdoors and the bicycles. Emerald Gemstone green, blues, has all those wonderful colors in it. So that worked great. The other part that was great about it is I had a lot of scraps left over from this collection. And this is a good one to use for scraps. So when they put their layout together here, they cut 12 borders, they punched 12 of the borders with the Spring Leaf Chain Border Maker cartridge, and they used a variety of papers. I am not sure. I didn't look specifically in here to see if they used almost one of every color. There's 12 papers in each paper pack, and maybe they just punched one of every single pattern and then just mixed them all up on that page. That sometimes can be a little overwhelming when you first got your brand new paper pack and you're like, you want me to cut every single, or, you want me to cut 2 chains from 6 different pieces of paper. Cause of course you can get, one from each side. To me, that's a little overwhelming. So this is a great layout to come back to when you've got your scraps. You've already started making other projects and you've got just strips of paper left over. Maybe you have to work from one of the sheets of paper from, 12 by 12, but it is a good one to punch with scraps. So what I did is I wanted to see what is my background going to be. When I talk about the background, they are using cloud cardstock, which was our light blue at the time. The equivalent now would be the baby blue cardstock. And that's what they've put all of their borders on. And so I decided I liked this tonal paper here out of the Emerald Gemstone collection. So that's what I went with. It's just got this kind of vertical stripe to it, but I really liked the colors in there. It was light, and I thought that was going to work great. But you do need to have a background. It has, the very base. This piece is going to be the background to all of my punches, but there's a border around it. You can see in the original layout, gives it a nice frame and really allows you to have that corner quarter circle pocket down here at the bottom. So what was I going to do around here? Well, I had this piece and I thought that was fun. So what I decided to do is like, oh, I really liked how that looked, right? Oh, that looks so nice. You guys can't see, it's kind of close or kind of far away, but here, let me show you. It just looks so good, right? But I don't have a 12 by 12 piece of it. I just don't. That's what I have left. So what I'm going to be doing is where they talk about having these 1/4 inch border, I'm going to cut some 1/4 inch strips and I'll lay those down and frame it out. So you'll see how I do that. I do see a couple comments about the quality. If you guys are having difficulty, you might have to exit the live and come back in. It will drop you right back into where I currently am. So if you are having some technical difficulties, go ahead and jump out and come back in, and hopefully that will resolve those for you. So that's how I'm going to put together my background. I've got my base where I'm putting my borders on. I'm going to cut some strips out of this piece of paper to lay around the top after I put my borders on. And then we will go ahead and put together all the photos, and I'll show you how to create that pocket. That pocket was actually part of the embellishments. This is the pocket that they used. It's actually not a 1/4 circle. It's more of like they took a rectangle and then curved it off, but I'm going to show you how to do it as a I'm going to show you how to do it as a as a 1/4 circle. All right. So getting started here. Oh, I had to decide which BMC I was going to use, and I decided to use Rolling Sunshine, which I haven't used a whole lot, and I thought that was kind of fun to use. It's got a little bit of movement with it because of the way the sunshines, I guess, bounce around a little bit. And I thought, oh, how fun, the name Rolling Sunshine, and that's what he's doing. He's rolling in the sunshine. So I don't know. I just thought it was fun. And when I punched them to show samples to give me an idea, was I truly going to like it? It worked out pretty good. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and finish punching the borders. I have already done some of them because, like I said, I needed to make sure I liked how the pieces were going to go. So I think I have maybe half of them punched. I am going to be punching, I've chosen 4 different colors. Let's see here. I've got 4 different colors that I'm using. I went with this light lime color. I've got the blue, which is also, it's the same gemstone tonal pattern paper. And then I've got just a solid, it has a little bit of a texture to it, but it's a little bit more of a, has a little bit more yellow to the green. This one has a little bit just more grass green, I guess. And then that lovely peacock feather. I was really not sure if I was going to use this peacock feather side or if I was going to use the other side that has the hexagons. But when I punched it, you lose the peacock effect. Now you just have a bunch of the colors. And it actually looks really nice. I love that it brings all of these colors into one. All right. So what I'm going to do is I need 3 of each one. And so I've punched 2 of my greens, 2 of my blues, and I've punched all 3 peacocks. So I need to punch a light green, or excuse me, I need to punch the green. Now, all I have left is, well, actually I have a bigger piece in this, but this strip, I will be able to get 1 more set of the Rolling Sunshine out of it. I just need to secure it in my border maker cartridge, the paper holder, and as you can see right there, it's not gonna stay. The tip here, many of you will know this, but if you're new or just getting acquainted with the border maker system, we can use Post-it notes to hold the paper in there. So I'm just going to attach some Post-it notes. 2 should do it. And that extends my paper so that it'll meet the magnet. That's what I need it to do. I need it to get to that magnet. Now, it holds in there. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and punch. I have found when I am attaching this with the Post-it notes, I need to be just a little bit more careful, right? The Post-it notes are pretty secure, but I do make sure I'm a little more gentle as I'm working my way around. I don't want to dislodge anything. Rolling Sunshine also does have some delicate parts to it, so I am just going to take my time punching and then pulling straight out. And that will reduce the chances that it's going to catch. So there's my third green gear. Now I need to go ahead and do the same with that blue. And once again, this piece is too small. I'm going to have to use the Post-it notes. And I'll just pull my Post-it notes off and apply them to the blue. And go ahead and punch one more round of the blue. I tried to catch on that last one, so I'm definitely being careful. Sometimes you need to just double check you don't have debris in your cartridge. There we go. And punch one last one. I have a couple of areas, well, I see one area where my little Post-it notes, and I just can pull those off with my fingernail. And that's the rest of that one. And now I'll be able to go in and I need to punch two more of the lime. And those will be easy to do. I don't have to use the Post-it notes because I have a bigger piece of paper. So I'll punch a couple of those. So for this layout, I am using all of the same border punch all the way through to repeat. By repeating it, you're not necessarily giving the eye a lot that it has to process. It will recognize that it's the same. So I'm going to have some color changes in there, which will add the interest, but I'm not making my anybody viewing my layout really think hard about what punch is there, what punch is there. That is not to say that you can't mix and match. You can certainly mix and match your punches if you're doing something. Maybe you are doing something like Christmas and you want to use 2 or 3 of your different border maker cartridges for your Christmas layout. Something you might do then, if you are using different ones, is you might consider going a little bit more monochromatic with your punches, the colors of paper that you've chosen. And you can see they sort of did that in the original layout here. Part of it is because within Spring Medley, the collection that they use for this, there was just a lot of blue tones. So they do have some of the lighter, some of the white, but everything was really, it feels fairly monochromatic with a lot of blues, a little bit of whites, but you see the blues and the light teals in there. I've got a little bit more contrast in my colors, but I'm staying similar with my border maker cartridge. So mix and match it a little bit. But just know that, you know, there are ways to add interest, which can be a lot of fun to do. And there's ways to kind of dial back how much, sometimes that interest can get a little overwhelming, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you kind of have to balance out your punches, your papers, how they're going to impact your photos. My photos, I'm also pretty lucky on my photos, and I'm going to try to explain why. My photos have a very large main subject in all of them relative to what's going on. I also don't have a lot of other background stuff going on. I've got the background with the sun, I've got the road, but I don't have other people. I don't have fence line. I don't have, random other things going on in the photos. So that also helps keep my photos within this layout very simplistic. It's not a very busy photo. It's very, just that one main subject going on in there. So that sometimes can make a difference too on how your choices for things. All right, so there's all 12. I have 4 different colors, and I punched 3 of each of those colors. So I am all done with my punching, unless I manage to tear something, which hopefully I won't. So now, as I'm going to just move these over to the side, I'm going to move them off my trimming mat because I want to put my background paper on my trimming mat. I also am going to need, and here it is, I'm going to need my silicone mat to be able to apply some repositionable adhesive on the back side of all of these pieces. So let me organize this a little bit better. I have a very small desktop. So I'm going to put my silicone mat next to here. And then I'll lay these out for the moment over here while I am going to show you how I am going to arrange them on here. And I'm just going to go in, pick a color and start laying them out. I want to space them evenly throughout there. So I have 12. So really, if I focus on spacing them from the top to 1, that's 1 inch. I got to put my first one between 0 and 1. The next one I would place between 0 or 1 and 2 and just keep working my way down the line. So really, if I look at it, the center of my BMC should be centered on the 1/2 inch mark. It's going to make it super easy to line this up. Mostly what I'm doing here is making sure that I like my color order. I don't think it's going to matter too much. So I love that you guys are joining in from all over. I saw a few people saying it was pretty hot where they are. We are going to get up to, I think 80 today. It's pretty warm for us for this time of year. Normally they refer to June gloom in the Pacific Northwest in the Seattle area. But we have not had the June gloom. We have been sunny and warm. I had to water my lawn this morning. I watered the front yard. I'll go out and get the backyard later today. If we don't water it, it doesn't get any water all summer long, and it goes dormant brown. You guys, that's hard. When I first moved here, that was hard for me to imagine. Like, what do you mean I have to water my lawn? This is like the Pacific Northwest. I thought all it does is rain. It does not rain in the summer. So there we can see how this is. Oops, I missed one. What did I miss? It goes under this. This needs to slide down. There we go. So I do like how that, oh, Joanne, she's watching while she's at work. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. You guys can see. Now it's just a matter of applying that adhesive and putting it all together. So what I'm going to do is I am making sure that my paper is on my cutting mat just fine. I probably could have used some adhesive and adhered it down, some repositionable on the back, just to tack it into place so I didn't have to worry about it moving around. I didn't do that. I think it's going to be okay. I probably actually have enough sticky residue on here from, just using my repo adhesive that it's going to stick anyway. Here's my repositionable adhesive. I'm going to be using quite a bit of it on this layout, putting all these pieces into place. I know most of you are familiar with the repo adhesive. If you are not, then it is a wonderful option to use when you are working with these finer detail items like the border maker, the punched borders, any of the laser cut borders. It just puts that adhesive where it touches the paper. Like I said, I am just lining these up, the center of the punch on the 1/2 inch mark, in between each inch. I have 12, so that lines up nicely. It's the benefit of doing 12. I am taking my time when applying the repo adhesive, largely because this particular punch, I don't want to accidentally tear it. That would be really disappointing. So the 1/4 inch strips at the top of the bottom, when you do the layout, there's a question I see about what about the 1/4 inch strips at the top of the bottom. I'm going to lay those on after I'm done putting this here. Normally, how they want you to build this is actually to do this all on your cardstock, and then you would come in and chop off a 1/4 inch from all the way around. I am not doing that because, as I mentioned, I don't have enough to do a full 12 by 12. I'm going to be cutting slices off of this and do a faux frame around it with these colors. And that is just going to lay over the top of these outside edges. If you're following along the blog instructions, they have you from the background sheet. They want you to cut that frame out of the middle. I am not doing that because I don't have a full 12 by 12 sheet, but I am going to be using most of this cutting my strips. The leftover pieces, I will be making the mats. So I see the comments about the weather, and I see Joy commenting about, it's been so, they've had so much rain in Denver that the hot and dry is coming. And I remember that in Arizona when I lived there, we were so excited when we'd have a wet winter, right? Because that just meant you had a nice, the wildflowers would bloom in the spring and everything was so green. The downside to that is you knew everything was going to die, right? That rain is not going to stay. The temperatures are going to get up to the hundreds. Everything's going to die. And then it's just going to spontaneously combust. Not literally. There usually will be something that starts a fire. But you just knew that a wet winter meant that the fire season, if you had a very dry summer, was inevitable. And that's the downside. You get excited about all the water, especially for those areas in the Southwest, which have been so dry over the years. Having those wet winters really helps those reservoirs. We actually, I know California's had tons of rain. And we came home from Palm Springs at Christmas. So we were driving December 30th up past Lake Shasta, the north, on I-5 north of Redding. And we drove over Lake Shasta, and it was like, oh my gosh, how dry it was, how the bathtub ring that they call it was really, really a real thick one, right? You could see it. We tried to take some pictures, and then all the rain started coming. So it's amazing to me to know that Lake Shasta, that was like, 80 or 90 feet below what they call full pool, is now full. They are actually releasing water from it to keep it managed, but that's great news. So, and Angelina, she's in New Zealand and telling how she's had a wet summer. Now they're headed into a wet winter. Sometimes you get just too much water. No, I see another question about the BMC. This one is not available. It was part of a secret box from, I believe, fall of 2021. The Spiced Plum secret box had this BMC in it. So it's pretty, you can find it on the ISO or the In Search Of market for Creative Memories products. So I know that the poor Northeast right now, I see the comment about getting the wildfires. So I don't know how common that is for there in the Northwest. Here in the Northwest, we have gotten a lot of smoke residue from the Canadian wildfires in the past. We get them when they come up out of Oregon. Western Washington typically does not get on fire because we are fairly wet. But sometimes Eastern Washington will, and we'll get those smokes. So I do feel bad for you guys. There are some days where it's pretty horrible. So yeah, Joanne's saying it never happens in the Northeast. So you guys are getting a little bit of taste what life out West is like sometimes. And then I see the Eileen's comment about the secret boxes. Yes, we will have a new announcement, Creative Memories. I believe on Monday we'll have the secret box out for sale. So we'll get more information for that on Friday. So you'll want to be paying attention. Okay. Oh my gosh, I got the last one on there. So it's all, there's my background. You can see, it looks really nice. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I need to put on those outside strips. And here I have a little bit of flexibility. They want them to be 1/4 of an inch. That's what they would recommend that I'd actually trim off all the way around. So I could do that if I wanted to. What I'm going to have to do here is, I'm seeing right now, I'm spotting my one little hiccup that I'm going to have. When you use the pocket that they have you create, when you trim that off, you're able to take your pocket, you're able to put it on here. Imagine I've already cut my paper down and I would put it on my background and that pocket sits in there just like that, right? So it overlaps. Now, I'm not going to be able to do that because remember, I don't have that full layer between a background and my top. I'm just going to have one layer here. So I'm going to show you how to make the pocket, but I'm probably going to have to just fake it with a 1/4 inch or a 1/4 circle that just kind of replicates that look. So that would be an option too, but I will show you how to make that pocket with your jumbo circle. We'll do that in just a minute though. I'm going to go ahead and cut these 1/4 inch strips. I am just going to stick with the 1/4 inch sizing. If you wanted to make it a little bit bigger, you could. You certainly could also cut it, trim off more than a 1/4 inch. If you wanted to trim a little bit more, if you want more of your background to show through, you could. So I need one more. 1/4 inch is just to that, the gray, the edge of the gray mat. It's not really marked on the trimmer, but that is approximately where it is. The biggest thing I want is I want 4 consistent pieces. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use mini tape runner. I could use the mini tape runner is the red. It just has a real, I don't know if you can see it there, just that single thin strip. I'm going to use that on this. And I am just going to apply this to the outside edge. Giving myself that faux mat. You probably won't be able to see it tell as much on screen as you can tell in person. I think I would have preferred to elevate this layer above the background mat, but I really wanted to use this paper. So I'm adjusting. The end result will be the same. I think when you're looking through the album, nobody's going to know the difference. If I am 90 years old looking through this album and that's what I point out, then I have missed the point of scrapbooking, right? I'll be 90 years old in the home and telling like, I remember that page. You guys have that. The stories about making the page sometimes can eclipse the actual event of the page itself. Yeah, that would be this page. That one time where I didn't have all the supplies. So yeah, about the smoke, I agree with you. So Tessa and I went to Mexico. You may or may not know that. We went last month, and when we flew into Puerto Vallarta, you could see wildfire smokes. I don't think get a lot of wildfires down there, but they had one. And when you would go into town or come, you could smell it a little bit in the air. The smoke, I wouldn't say it was maybe a little hazy. It wasn't, here in Washington, we've gotten it where it's thick enough that it is definitely impacting when you look outside. The sky everything looks a little bit different. I wouldn't say it was that way in Puerto Vallarta, but you could, when the winds had died down, you could start to smell a hint of the smoke. So yeah, there's definitely a smell in the air, even when it's far away. It's amazing to me how the particulates can carry that scent with it as well. So here we go. There you guys can see, right? It almost looks like I mounted it on top, but I didn't. I just put those 1/4-inch strips all the way around. Now it's time. Let's go ahead and I'm going to get all my photos matted and ready to go. And then we're going to come to that 1/4-inch pocket. I won't actually put them on the page. I'm just going to get them on here. So I've already got my photos trimmed. My photos are trimmed to the same size that they have here. They list. I've got a 4x6, and they list the sizes of the photos. They list the sizes of the photos in step 6 is the 4x6. Step 7, they want you to have 2 photos that are 3.5 inches wide by 4 inches tall. And I was able to get both of my photos into that size. So for this photo, the 4x6, they suggest using a mat, which is a great idea. I've always loved when we're using the mats. So I picked out a mat that's kind of that dark teal color, matches my son's shirt. It has a background to it. You can see the light blue mat has a dark background behind it. And that is used if we had a full 12 by 12 sheet of this one, we would have cut out a center square and we would have used that center square to make our mats. So I am going to use the remnant of this piece to make my mats. To do so, I think I need to do it this way. I need to have a piece like that, and then I will cut 2 mats this direction. I don't think I can't get them all that way. I have to cut them this way. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to cut, it says I underlined it. I thought I did. Oh, yeah, here it is. I need to cut this to 4 3/4. I'm going to cut this top section off 4 3/4. 4 3/4. 4 3/4, and then it should be 6 3/4 inch wide. 6 3/4, which is almost to 7. So it has just a very small amount of that color around the outside. So that's the mat for that. And then for this piece, I need to go ahead and get 2 sets here. So I'm going to trim this to 4 1/4 is what it wants me to trim it to. 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. I'm doing step 5 is where we cut the mats. So I need 2 mats that are 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. I'm cutting my length, my height here. So this is my longest part. I'm going to push it a little bit beyond. I want to give my mats a little bit more oomph to them. There, you can see they're pretty thin mats here. I'm going to give myself a little more oomph. I'm going to, instead of going to 4 1/4, I'm going to go to 4 3/8, which is 1/8 of an inch beyond. And then instead of trimming them to 3 3/4 inch wide, I'm going to go to 3 7/8 inch wide. I'm adding 1/8 of an inch to each of those measurements. So 3 7/8. Just going to give me a little bit more of that mat around it. Three 7/8. Okay. I'm going to put my photos on my mat. Get all those pieces on there. Emerald Gemstone is one of those collections. I don't know if you guys have that, where the you really miss them when they're gone. I mean, we have beautiful collections out there, but I just love this teal color. I mean, that teal color is like probably one of my favorite colors. And so I probably should have bought more of it. Okay, so now my photos are matted. We can see in general how they're going to look on my page. And I have to arrange them so that we can see what's going on. And you can adjust. They have them in there, minor. So they're kind of going in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on that quarter circle that's going to come here and sit at the bottom. So when doing the quarter circle or trying to figure out the sizing, I happen to have this embellishment still available to use. It was in my Spring Medley project folder. So what I did is I first of all looked to see if we could use the this jumbo circle, or that we could use the circle number 3. Circle number 3, we could come pretty close with it. So what we're wanting to do is we're going to be using a quarter circle. All right, so quarter circle, if I look at my circle here, my quarter circle is from here, this would be 0, so think of that as like 12 o'clock, over here to 3. So when I hold this up to here, I can see that my circle is going to be about yay big. It's not going to be too bad. You could actually do it using circle number 3, the blue blade on the outside edge. That'd be pretty good. So then if you wanted to do that, if you don't have the jumbo circle, use circle number 3. We're going to cut a half moon with the blue blade on the outside edge. You're going to cut a half circle. Or what I liked was the jumbo circle with this. Once again, coming to find my 0, my 12 o'clock noon, coming over here to find the 3 o'clock. And if I lined this up, I could put this in here and line everything up. Coming in here with my blue blade, I'm getting about that same size. And that's what I found I wanted. I wanted a little bit of a chunky quarter circle, because it's a pretty big portion of this layout, and I wanted to give myself plenty of room to be able to do that embellishment cluster on there. So I'm going to go ahead and do it with the jumbo circle. I am just going to use some cardstock, some blue cardstock for this. I'm going to cut myself that half circle. So to cut the half circle, I'll just bring it up here to 6 inches. My paper, line it up at 6 inches. I've got my mat or my circles already marked. Hopefully you guys, if you have the jumbo circles, that you've marked them. This makes this part easy. Line up so that here's noon, here's 3 and 9. You want 3 and 9 to be on the line there, and then you're going to use your blue blade on the inside track. If you only want to do the quarter circle, you can adjust this. I could have come over here, put on my quarter right there, line it up at 6 inches, and I could come in here, line up those pieces, and cut my quarter circle. If you just need the quarter circle. If you don't want to, if you want to be able to create that pocket look, then you would need the half circle, or you definitely need more than a quarter circle, right? Because we need to be able to fold. You probably, and I found it just easiest to fold the half circle. All right, so to fold the half circle, you need to know the middle of your circle, because we're gonna find the middle, and then I'm gonna show you how to use a scoring blade to do this, because I think the scoring blade is the easiest part to do it. So I'm gonna find the middle just by folding it in half, give myself a light pinch, and then I can use a pencil if I want to mark that spot. So here's my center. I've marked my center there. You see it, that little shiny dot. Now I'm going to come up to grab my scoring blade. I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to come up so that my pencil mark is there, and I'm going to mark it on the 45-degree angle. I've lined up at 45 degrees, and I'm going to score. I will tell you, if you want to, cheat it a little bit so that your pencil line is to the right of your score line. Just a little bit, just a smidge. Just a smidge. And I scored. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over. If you need to, go ahead and you can make that fold. And the reason I'm making it is because I want to see it on the other side. I want to see where that center mark is. My fold is here. I'm going to line it back up, and I'm going to come up to where I see that fold and go ahead and score with where that fold meets my my dotted line for my score line, or my trimming line on my mat. I'll fold again so that I can fold and then fold one more time. And there we have our pocket. It's a faux pocket. But if you have made your layers, you could come in there. I mean, I still could put it in here just like this if I wanted to, if I want to give that illusion of more bulk, right? Sometimes that's can be helpful. It just gives you that little bit of that 3D effect down here at the bottom. It would come in like such. Let me just adhere. Putting lots of adhesive. I've got cardstock. I need to make sure it closes and stays that way. Of course, if you were adhering this to your layout, you would put your piece in there and then fold everything behind it and seal it all shut. I'm going to seal mine shut. Well, I'm supposed to be able to put a photo in here too. The photo, the bottom edge of the photo is supposed to come under this piece here. Here's my truly fake, just doing that quarter circle. Play with it a little bit to get my pieces where I want them. Something along those lines. And then they come in with some additional elements. So they have a little bit of journaling, and there were, they had, I'm sure, more pieces, embellishment pieces that went with this. And I probably could look through Emerald Gemstone to see if I have some bits, but I just have, this is a 2 1/4 inch strip of journaling paper. I'm going to go ahead and cut this just probably not quite 4 inches. It probably needs to be a little bit wider. Oops, still the scoring blade in. If I wanted to tuck that in there, just a quick little bit of journaling that could be done. And then what I'm going to do, I looked to the Emerald Gemstone collection of the embellishments and all of that stuff. None of them were really speaking to me saying, oh, this is perfect for bike riding in the woods. So what I've got is I've got the Totally Tonal, these are the Island Waters and the baby blue stickers that came out. And so I'm going to go through here and see if there's some stuff that maybe would work in this case. So now that I've got everything on here, I could certainly come in with some of these stickers and put them into place. Doing a cluster down here, thinking maybe I would come in with this new firecracker punch might work out really well to have to mimic the sunshine. This is actually, the back side of this actually looks really nice. It's got more of that water splotched green. And so that could come in here if I wanted to, and create, maybe I might just go ahead and put my title down here, and figure out something there. So I see a question, a question about the sizes of the photos. My sizes of the photos, I trimmed to just exactly how they had them in the original layout. So they have them, they're sized to a 4x6. This is a 4x6. The smaller photos are 3.5 inches wide, 4 inches tall. So they're not quite a square. The other element they did have in here, they do have a sticker at the bottom. The birds, they have the bird sticker. I pulled, and I have no idea if this was even going to look good. They have this blue, they lined everything up here so that you had a very straight line across the bottom that both, and I'm not sure if that's going to work for me. And then I could come in here with this wave, that punch there at the bottom. I'll give it some thought. This is kind of a little bit chunky. So I'll play around with it a little bit and make the decision exactly on how I want to do this. Play around with it a little bit more. But it's a fun background if you kind of just think about, here's just what the background looks like. I keep that quarter circle element in there. So yes, I will tell you guys, firecracker, the fireworks punch is selling really well. I don't think it's listed as hot on the website, but it is definitely selling well. So if it is on your wish list, to keep that in mind. So, all right, I'll get some of this stuff figured out. The more I think about it, I am probably going to leave that bottom border off. I've got enough border details going on with my rolling sunshine here. Probably just keep it something like that. Tuck in the journaling paper. Give myself a little bit of something to write about. And then put on some additional embellishments there. So, and I'll get this bottom detail. Like I said, I probably will put some sort of words or title down here. So, so yeah, I do see a comment. I could go ahead and I could trim this down a little bit if I wanted to, so it's not quite so chunky. That would definitely be an idea if I felt that I really needed it. The challenge I think I'm running into on that particular thing is that I am feeling this configuration where I've got the photo up just a little bit higher. And so I'm not going to have that solid edge of photos like they do in the initial example. But, you know, those just to get something started, something to think about there, I could maybe come in, I could do that. But it makes me think of water. And so I don't want to be thinking of water. We were not near the water. So I will probably figure out something else there. So, all right. Thanks you guys so much for watching, bearing with me while I adhered all those borders into place. As I mentioned, this Friday is going to be a preview Friday. We should have the, the preview Friday. We should know more details about the secret box. I don't know if there's going to be an additional collection or any other product release this time around, but we should have details on Friday. This Friday is also the start of the virtual crop. So it's a virtual crop weekend. And so that's a lot of fun. I think the layouts should come out, is it like 3 o'clock on Friday? All 4 layouts will be debut on the blog. So make sure you subscribe to the blog. The Creative Memories blog, make sure you subscribe to that. You'll get a notification in your email inbox when those publications or that blog post goes. If you use Gmail, you'll want to check your social tab. That's where they seem to dump the Creative Memories blog posts. If you also receive my blog post, if you want to receive the Scrapbook live handouts or the links to those, the blog article where I add those, you'll want to subscribe to my blog at megganjacks.com. You can just go up and there should be an area where you can subscribe, and then you'll get notification every Tuesday when I publish the post for the that week's Scrapbook Live. The other thing I wanted to mention is, well, Tessa and I we just launched Summer Scrap this week. The challenge layout was posted on Monday. We had a kickoff crop on Monday. Tomorrow, Tessa will share a throwback layout, and the next week is my first week to show a challenge layout plus a throwback layout. So we're having lots of fun, getting lots of pages done already. And the other thing, just a quick overall thing about how this summer is going to go with Scrapbook Live. I will be doing Scrapbook Live all the way up until let's see, I think it's like June 21st. And then after that, I will be going to an every other week schedule, partially because it allows me to plan family trips on the weeks I don't have Scrapbook Live. So it gives me that flexibility. So we will not have anything on the 28th, but we will get together right after the 4th of July on July 5th, and then start to go every other week. And that will go through August. And then September 1st, or whenever we kick back up in September, we will be going back to the every week format. So I'll have those, I'll probably have a meme or something that will show you the dates I'm going to have Scrapbook Live. The other big announcement, just to remind people of, is Power Hour is next week on the 13th. So you can go to megganandtessa.com if you have not participated in Power Hour before. It's just a fun 1 hour Zoom crop where Tessa and I both demonstrate a layout that can be done in 30 minutes or less, usually. And so that's going to be our June edition, is on the 13th. Like I said, megganandtessa.com. You can register. It's free. If you have attended before or already receive our emails, you will receive the email details for that on Monday the 12th. So I think that's all of the announcements for this week. Yeah, I am looking forward to it. I'm hoping to be able to get some of the virtual crop stuff done. We have a couple of things going on this weekend, but I am planning to, I've got a bunch of pictures printed, ready to do some layouts for the virtual crop, and just continuing on with all sorts of fun things this summer. Hopefully everybody's got fun plans, date, make sure you're taking lots of photos. My tip for you this summer is to make sure you are going both directions with that phone, so that you have some options when it comes time for scrapbooking, right? You don't say, oh, I only have all vertical photos, or oh, they're all horizontal. That's me. That's literally what I say a lot of times. So I do have to remind myself, turn that camera. The other one I'm going to remind you, make sure when you're taking those photos with your cell phone that you give your cell phone lens a quick swipe with a soft cloth. Usually I just use my shirt and just clean off that lens. Sometimes if you think, why do my pictures look foggy? It's because your lens has a lovely little thumbprint on it. So you just want to make sure you clean those, start making it a habit. Every time I get my phone out to take a picture, I automatically give it a quick swipe with my t-shirt just to make sure that that lens is clean. All right. Have fun. I will see you guys next week. My kids are still in school for 2 more weeks. So I'm not doing anything exciting except for counting down the days to the end of school year. So I'll see you guys next week, virtual crop this week, all sorts of fun stuff. Take care. Reach out to me if you have questions about anything, and I'll be happy to answer. All right. See you soon.